Wholesale gadget parts.
Today, we will be separating the screen and frame from the Galaxy S7 Edge. The tools we'll be using will be a hot plate set to 85 degrees Celsius, several glue cards, the iFlex, the iSesamo, and a standard nylon spudger, all of which we offer on wholesalegadgetparts.com. We start by placing the S7 Edge assembly on the hot plate for a few moments until you can feel the heat coming through the back. Use the iFlex to gently start the separation between the glass and the frame where the SIM card would be located. Once the iFlex is between the glass and frame, use a glue card to keep them separate and set the iFlex aside. The glue cards will make sure separation continues but will flex along the edges without causing cracking to the glass or display. Continue moving along the top with another glue card, reheating as necessary. You will start to see the glue card through the opening where the proximity sensor would be located. Use this as a guide to go along the top edge in the direction of the camera hole without a risk of cutting through the flex cable. When you have a glue card on both top corners, the frame and display will continue to separate on their own. Place another glue card lengthwise into the gap between the two cards. Remove the two original cards and work the new card down the screen slightly, stopping just before where the display starts on the front. This is where the flex cable is located. Stopping just before this point will ensure you are not damaging the flex cable or forcing the glue card between the glass and the display. Place a glue card between the glass and the frame in the corner opposite the flex cable connector. We will be using it in a moment. Using a new glue card, measure the opening where the display flex cable is located on the top center. Cut a strip slightly smaller than this opening. We will be using this strip to go from the opening to the corner opposite the flex cable connector. Bend about ½ an inch on one end of the strip to help with pushing forward. Be sure to push the card strip towards the corner to make sure you're not hitting any filters on the flex cable located just above the battery cavity. When you start to move the card in the corner, remove the corner card and reinsert between the frame and the card strip. You now have a card that you can use as a guide for future cards to go over without risk of cutting the display flex cable or sliding the card between the glass and the display itself. I adjust the top cards to start working the adhesive where the battery cavity is located. While adjusting the cards, you will see I remove a thin piece of black adhesive. If you encounter the same thing, remove and discard the adhesive. This will help keep the frame off the glass and potentially help lift the frame further. Insert another card between the top card and the frame on the opposite side of the flex cable connector and start to work the card down the side. As with several of the Galaxy phones, the display is adhered to the frame with an entire sheet of adhesive. To help break through this adhesive, you may either use another full card or cut a strip to help start cutting through the adhesive inside of the battery cavity to the outside of the frame. I started with the strip to loosen the area, then adding a second card to add bulk, slowly allowing the adhesive to separate. Once you are able to see the card poking out of the side, you are free to move the card down further until you reach the bottom of the battery cavity. I use an additional card here to keep the sides separate. When the new card is fully inserted, remove the inner card as we will be working on the other side next. Starting on the side where the flex cable connector is located, insert a new card onto the top corner. Do this slowly and keep an eye on the area the flex cable connector enters to make sure you are not cutting into the flex cable. If you haven't already, move the card under the battery cavity down and slightly out of the way. We will be adding another card to the opposite side going under the frame where the heat pipe is located, but not all the way through. This area has the widest surface with adhesive, so the best approach is to have another card meet the inner card in the middle. Insert the new card just below the flex cable connection. Work your way down and towards the other card, removing any excess frame adhesive as you go. While the frame is lifting, be sure to remove the flex cable connector out of the frame and back onto the display to prevent any accidental tearing. We will now move on to the most difficult portion, the soft keys. Using a third card, slide one of the ends along the edge to work the frame adhesive. Do not insert this card too far while cutting this frame adhesive to prevent tearing on the charge port flex cable. Once you're able to separate the frame and the glass, press the home button down and guide one of the corners of the card above the home button. Slowly push the card further on top of the home button, but do not go too far left or right past the frame's edge. Remove both of the cards on the left and right. Using your thumb to keep the frame from the glass, you can now insert the flat part of the spudger to where the soft keys flex cable is located on one side of the screen. Use the flat part to wedge the flex cable and press the flex cable towards the frame. There will be enough adhesive to keep the cable in place. Once the one side is lifted, insert a card into the free side and over the home button. Use the spudger again to move the remaining flex cable onto the frame. Use a card to cut the remaining frame adhesive. Finally, using heat and light pulling, the frame and glass will be fully separated. A quick once-over will show there are no cracks in the glass or the display itself, also no tears in the flex cable. And that's how you remove the screen from the frame on the Galaxy S7 Edge.